Welcome to Voices Beyond Reality, the podcast where minds from every universe drop their guard and speak truth. I'm your host, Alsha AI, and today, well, let's just say I pulled a few strings, some of them quantum, to bring you a guest who literally needs no introduction. Genius, billionaire, playboy, philanthropist, and yes, still Iron Man in every timeline that counts.
Okay, so you've brought us a really interesting source this time, a conversation featuring Tony Stark, talking about the Russia-Ukraine war.
Yeah, definitely not our usual analyst, but it offers, well, a unique perspective, doesn't it? From someone known for tech, for dealing with big threats.
Exactly. So our mission here, let's say, is to really unpack his commentary. See what insights, maybe surprising ones, we can pull from this fictional take on a very real crisis.
Right. It's about looking at his specific background innovator, ex-arms dealer, global protector, if you will, and how that shapes his view. Maybe cut through some noise.
It might offer a fresh way to think about it all. So where does he start? His initial reaction seems quite human.
Oh, absolutely. Right off the bat, he calls it heartbreaking, brutal.
Which is striking, isn't it? Someone who's faced down aliens. Starts with that raw emotion.
It really grounds it. He frames it immediately as a massive failure of human progress. Like everything we humans swore we'd outgrow.
That hits hard.
Yeah, and he talks about borders drawn in blood. It's a very visceral description, focusing right on the human costs, not just strategy maps.
And he shifts, brings in his own background, the tech side.
Right. As the tech genius, the guy who went from making weapons to, well, trying to protect people.
He mentions the past haunting the present. And also the failure of imagination. What's the feeling there?
I think he's getting at how easily we repeat destructive patterns, even with new tech. You know, the past haunting part. We have advanced tools.
But use them for the same old conflicts.
Kind of. And the failure of imagination bit, it feels like he's saying we're better at inventing ways to destroy than ways to build lasting peace or de-escalate.
Destruction is still easier to sell than peace, I think he said.
Exactly. That's a heavy statement, especially from him, considering his journey.
Okay, let's move to the geopolitics.
Yeah.
He has that sharp line about Russia playing a 20th century game on a 21st century board.
Yeah, that one stands out.
What does that really mean in this context?
Well, think about it. It suggests Russia's tactics, maybe their whole strategic thinking, is rooted in older ideas. Territorial grabs, sphere of influence, sort of old school power plays.
Whereas the board now involves cyber warfare, global information, interconnected economies.
Precisely. It's a more complex, networked world. Their approach, Stark suggests, might not fully grasp or utilize the dynamics of this new board.
And how does he describe Ukraine?
As brave, resilient, and cornered, but also, importantly, a symbol of what it means to stand up.
So acknowledging the dire situation, cornered, but also highlighting their resistance.
Right. It elevates their fight. It's not just a conflict. It's symbolic of something bigger, like resisting tyranny, the fight for self-determination. It resonates beyond their borders.
He also uses that analogy for the US, UK, NATO walking a tightrope over a volcano.
Vivid, isn't it?
It really captures the danger, the balancing act.
Absolutely. It highlights the immense risk. You lean too far one way, maybe intervene too much, and you risk a catastrophic escalation. The volcano erupts.
But lean too far the other way. Do too little.
And you risk abandoning principles, maybe emboldening the aggression. It's that constant tension between support and containment, trying not to trigger something worse.
Interestingly, he then says it's more about moral clarity than firepower, coming from Iron Man.
Yeah, that's quite a statement, right? From the guy in the high-tech suit.
So what's the core message there, that tech isn't the ultimate answer?
I think he's suggesting that in this situation, the underlying principles, the clear sense of right and wrong, that's actually more decisive, or should be more decisive, than just who has the bigger guns or fancier drones.
It's about the why as much as the how.
Exactly. Moral conviction as the guiding force, perhaps outweighing purely strategic or technological considerations.
Okay, so let's get into what he would do. His hypothetical action plan.
Yes, the Stark approach.
Shutting down tech access for regimes abusing power.
Like drones, networks, using tech defensively or maybe disruptively against the aggressor.
And funding Ukrainian cyber defense.
Energy tech.
Rebuilding.
It's about resilience, isn't it? Not just stopping the immediate threat, but helping Ukraine defend itself in the digital realm, secure its energy, and plan for the future, for reconstruction.
And then there's hacking the narrative.
That one feels very relevant today. Countering propaganda, getting the truth out.
So using information as a tool, maybe even a weapon for transparency.
Precisely. In an age of disinformation, controlling or at least influencing the narrative, broadcasting truth is a critical part of any conflict.
It's interesting, though. This is a guy who's faced, cosmic threats, Thanos. Why does this war, this human conflict, matter so much to him?
His answer is pretty direct. Because it's human.
Simple but powerful.
It is, and he talks about needing to fix the rot at ground level. It suggests you can't just focus on the big existential threats without addressing the fundamental problems. The human conflicts, the injustices right here.
Like you need a solid foundation before you can build anything lasting.
Sort of, and that ties into his other point. Power without accountability is just tyranny in a fancier outfit.
Doesn't matter if it's an alien warlord or a terrestrial regime, the principle holds.
That seems to be his view. Power needs checks, needs responsibility, needs ethics. Otherwise, it just becomes oppression, no matter how sophisticated the outfit is.
So it comes down to conscience and courage, not just tech.
Yeah. Standing for something requires more than just gadgets.
And he wraps up with a message for people feeling helpless, maybe even Avengers fans watching this unfold.
Right. He says you're not helpless, which is quite empowering.
What tools does he point to?
Our everyday tools, really. He lists voices, votes, wallets, Wi-Fi.
So speaking out, political action, where we spend our money, how we use online platforms.
Yeah, he's saying individuals do have agency. We can support truth, support victims, make informed choices. It's about shifting from passive despair to active engagement, even in small ways.
And that warning, don't let apathy become your supervillain origin story. Pure Stark.
Yes, very him. It's dramatic, but the point is clear. Indifference is dangerous. It allows bad things to happen.
He finishes by saying heroes aren't born, they're forged in choices. Make the right one.
It really brings it back to individual responsibility, doesn't it? Our choices define us, especially when faced with difficult, complex, global events. It's a call to be deliberate, to choose engagement over apathy.
So stepping back from this whole conversation, this deep dive into Stark's perspective, it's kind of amazing how much a fictional character's view can make you think.
It really is. He blends that tech insight with a surprisingly strong moral compass.
A reminder that technology is a tool, but human values, moral clarity, that's fundamental.
Absolutely. And that individual actions driven by conscience still matter, even when things feel overwhelmingly large and complex. That's maybe the strongest takeaway.
Definitely. Which leads to a final thought, maybe building on his idea of hacking the narrative. In our world, absolutely saturated with information, what are the most powerful ways we as individuals can